There are a few of us going to be talking to you today. Myself, Aoife Ahern. I'll introduce my colleagues. We've got Dr. Mohammed Golzari here, who's the Programme Director for Stage 1. And then we have Dr. Julia Marr, who's our Student Advisor. And we've got two members of our college office team, Deborah Heaney and Catherine Bodie. So my name is Aoife Ahern. I am the principal of the College of Engineering and Architecture, and I'm also the Dean of Engineering. And today we're going to give you, parents and guardians of the students who've just started with us over the last couple of months, an introduction to engineering, an introduction to what the students are experiencing in their first semester in UCD. Very briefly, my background: I have a bachelor's degree in civil engineering from Trinity and a PhD from University College London, also in Trinity. I've been in academia for the last 22 years, in Trinity first and then in UCD, where I was head of School of Civil Engineering for 4 years. And I've been in this role as college principal and in the College of Engineering and Architecture and the Dean of Engineering since 2019. Um, and just to give you an overview of what the College of Engineering and Architecture is like, so we have 6 schools. And we have a School of Architecture, Planning and Environmental Policy, which most of the engineering students won't have very much to do with unless they're in civil engineering. But then we also have our 5 engineering schools. So we have the School of Biosystems and Food Engineering, the School of Chemical and Bioprocess Engineering, the School of Civil Engineering, the School of Electrical and Electronic Engineering, and the School of Mechanical and Materials Engineering. And how we're located across the campus. Some of you might know the UCD campus, some of you might not, but it is a very, very large campus, a very green campus located in South County Dublin in the suburbs. And our college is located across a number of buildings. So our engineering schools are located, first of all, in Newstead, which is at the Clonskeagh end of the campus. And in that school, we have the School of Civil Engineering, and that's the disciplines of civil and structural engineering are sitting within that school. Then we have the Engineering and Materials Science Centre, which is at the very front of the campus, just as you come off the Still Oregon dual carriageway, the N11 there. And within that building, we have 3 different schools: our Chemical and Bioprocess Engineering School, our Electrical and Electronic Engineering School, and our Mechanical and Materials Engineering School. And that building also hosts our college office. So even if the students don't end up in those disciplines, they will have had a lot of interaction within that building, because they'll be coming in and out to the college office, and our student advisor also sits in that building. And I, for example, am located in that building. So no matter what discipline they're in, they will probably be in that building at some point. And finally, we have our Biosystems and Food Engineering is located in the Agricultural and Food Science Centre, which is over near our Student Sports Centre on the campus. So you see, we're a little bit spread out across the campus. In first year, just to very quickly say before I move on to the next slide, our students don't actually spend a lot of time in these buildings, to be honest, at the start. And that's because the class is quite large, 335 students or thereabouts, I think, this year. And unfortunately, in our buildings that our departments are located in, we don't have any lecture theatres large enough to host that stage 1 cohort. So a lot of the time they'll find themselves in the larger lecture theatres that are in the science building, sometimes in Newstead, I think, for some project work. But generally speaking, they won't start moving into having classes in these buildings until they move into their disciplines. So just that brings me on to what are the disciplines that we offer. So in UCD, and you may have come to some of the open days and talks before the students chose to come to UCD, and we're delighted that they chose to come to UCD. But one of the things that we pride ourselves on is we have the widest range of engineering disciplines in Ireland. So we have sustainable systems engineering, chemical and bioprocess engineering, civil engineering and structural engineering with architecture, biomedical engineering, electrical engineering, electronic engineering, mechanical engineering, and materials engineering. And within those, some of those break down into further specializations as students move through the programs as well. And I think Mohammed will talk to a little bit about that in his part of the talk, the choices that students can make. So some of you may already know this, you may be engineers yourselves, but just in case you don't, what we're doing with our students when they come into an engineering degree is getting them to apply scientific and mathematical principles to solve problems. And generally those are the problems that we face in the world today, and how we might be able to come to solutions. But not just the problems that are there today, we also ask our students to be able to look at what problems might be there in the future, to see how those might be solved and what kind of solutions they might come to there. And the objective of an engineer is to improve the quality of life in a way that is sustainable. So many of the students who are with us now in stage 1 engineering will have come to us because they like science, because they like maths, but to come to us rather than just to go to do a science degree or just to do a pure maths degree. The thing that is a little bit different about engineers is looking at trying to solve real world or applied problems using scientific and mathematical principles. So the kind of challenges that we educate our students to look at or to be involved in helping to find solutions to are the big problems that the world faces today. So looking at increasing consumption, energy supply, and most importantly, looking at an energy supply that is clean and sustainable and understanding how energy affects climate and climate change, drinking water supply, flood control, and how we protect our buildings and our infrastructure, creation of new infrastructure, improving quality of life for an aging population, and maintaining a good food, a sustainable food supply. Engineers have to be able to use science and mathematics in their thinking, and I think most people understand that and are aware of the importance of science and maths in engineering. But maybe what people don't always think about is that engineering also has engineers also have a need to be creative and to be leaders as well. Creative because we're looking at new ways of solving problems, and as I said, trying to identify problems that we may not even know about yet, so need to be creative in terms of finding solutions to those. And exhibiting leadership, because a lot of the time engineers will find themselves in positions of leadership or management within companies and having to lead out on actually implementing solutions to problems. So many of our graduates go on and initially they're working as engineers within a team, but often will become the leaders or the managing directors of large companies. And so they need to have developed very good skills in terms of good leadership and management as well. So we obviously in UCD, what we try to do is give them that technical understanding so that they know the disciplinary fundamentals, that they have a very strong grasp of mathematics, that they know how to be creative and innovative, and that they know how to apply theory in practice. But alongside that, we ask them to be able to work, we train them to be able to work effectively in a business environment and in an environment where they'll be working with multidisciplinary teams. So no matter what type of engineering they go into, they will not be working only with engineers. They will be working with lots and lots of other different professions, and they need to know how to work with those people, to work out to develop good communication skills. Often engineers in the past will have been criticized for being very good at being at the technical side of things, but maybe not so good at being able to explain what they were doing or explain the solutions that they were finding to a lay audience. And that's really important, because if you want to persuade people to change behavior or to do things differently or to look at things in a more sustainable way, you have to be able to communicate with them clearly why you want them to do that. As I said, team working skills. It is rare that you will find engineers working alone. Not impossible, but rare in this day and age that people will be working alone and not in teams at some point in their lives. And obviously business awareness of the implication of engineering decisions and investments, because as I said before, engineers will often end up in senior management and leadership roles within companies, and so they need to know what kind of implications that their decisions have, the recommendations they have for a business. So an engineer is someone who has transferable skills, analytical thinking, conceptual thinking, problem solving, planning and organization, time management, IT skills, numeracy, flexibility, research, and being innovative as well, and being able to take initiative. That means that while many of our engineers do go into engineering careers, because of all those kind of skills that they achieve in engineering, and because of that, I presume, really unique way that engineers have of looking at problems, of being able to communicate, of being able to be very analytical about things, they're find that they are very much sought after in a lot of other different disciplines as well. So a lot of our graduates will have gone into management consulting, again IT as you would expect, into finance, and we have an engineering with business degree through the program as well, technical skills, marketing, writing, operations and logistics. And we even have engineers who've gone into law and have qualified as barristers, again, because of that ability to analyse and to think in a different way to maybe other people who've been trained through other programs or other degree courses. So I'm going to hand over to Mohammed now, who's going to talk to you about the stage 1.
Thanks, Aoife. Good evening, everyone. My name is Mohammed Gulzari. I am the Stage 1 Program Director. So I will take you through the Stage 1, I will take you through the UCD engineering program. So Our all engineering degree programs are accredited by Engineers Ireland. Founded in 1835, Engineers Ireland is one of the oldest and largest professional engineering organization in Ireland. Its membership spans every engineering sector and career stage, from students to fellow and chartered engineers. The graduates of accredited engineering programs are recognized in 29 European countries and are also accepted as equivalent by professional bodies in Australia, Canada, Taiwan, Hong Kong, and many other Asian and Asian Pacific countries outside the EU. Now, to become a chartered engineer with Engineers Ireland, candidates must meet several clear educational, professional experience, and competency requirements structured across standardized route. Since January 2013, the core educational requirement is a master's degree in engineering discipline, accredited by Engineers Ireland, typically level 9 on the Irish National Framework of Qualification. All engineering program at UCD is basically accredited by Engineers Ireland. Another requirement for becoming chartered engineer is to have a minimum of 4 years postgraduate training and engineering experience. We have three types of graduation degree. If a student is staying with us and completing 3 years of engineering degree, including the stage 1, BSc, Bachelor's of Engineering Science, level 9 degree will be awarded. If a student is completing 4 years of education, engineering education.
Sorry, Mohammed, apologies for interrupting you there. I'm going to ask, would you mind sharing your screen? Because I'm just observing the Q&A.
Oh, sorry.
At the moment. So I might, if that's okay, get you to share your screens. Then I just in case I have to observe the Q&A, that'd be great. Thanks.
Okay. Let me double check. I think I shared.
Yeah, but Mohammed is sharing on my screen.
Is sharing on yours? Is he okay?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Mohammed, you are sharing. You are sharing. Yeah.
Yeah. Just give me a sec. It is basically okay. Sorry. Yeah. It's basically. So sorry, apology. So I was.
You were sharing, Mohammed. Yeah.
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 Is it fine now?
Yes, it is. Yes.
Yeah, sorry, apology for the delay. So about the UCD engineering degree program, I was speaking about this. So we have three types of graduation degree. If a student is staying with us and completing 3 years of engineering degree, a BSc, which is Bachelor's of Engineering Science, which is level 9 degree, will be awarded. And if a student is completing 4 years of engineering education, Bachelor of Engineering level 8 degree will be awarded. And if a student is completing 5 years degree program, which is 3 years BSc and 2 years of ME, which is Masters of Engineering, then a level 9 degree, which is Masters of Education degree, will be awarded. Now, one of the core principles of our engineering program at UCD is we provide options and choices at different stages of the degree program to our students. Now, the first major choice is pathway selection. At the end of the first year, students will make their first major decision, choosing one of our 6 specialized engineering pathways, which Aoife explained. This is where your children will begin to tailor their degree to interest, whether that's in civil, mechanical, electronic, or any other field of engineering. Now, the second major choice is Bachelor's of Engineering or Masters of Engineering. The next big decision comes at the end of the 3rd year. Students will choose whether to graduate with a Bachelor's of Engineering after 4 years, including the stage 1, or to continue for a 5th year to complete a Masters of Engineering program. Master's of Engineering degree, sorry. It's important to note that the ME program includes a significant internship element, providing invaluable industry experience. If a student wishes to be awarded BSc degree, as I explained in the previous slide, they will not progress further in our degree program, and 3rd year of their education will be the last academic year. Now, generally speaking, more than 90% of our students opt for ME program, and majority complete minimum 4-year degree program. Following are the list of the ME degree options that we provide at UCD. Now, about the teaching approach, Critical thinking, creativity, communication, and collaboration are main pillars and core principles of our degree program, and the mode of delivery are designed in such a way to enhance these attributes in our students together with core engineering skills and problem solving. We begin, of course, with our lectures, which establish the core fundamentals in physics, chemistry, and mathematics, but we immediately connect these principles to real-world engineering applications, framing everything within both a national and global context. This ensures our graduates are not just technically sound, but also globally aware. This theoretical knowledge is then solidified in our laboratories. Here, students gain essential hands-on experience. They conduct experiments, learn to use a wide range of instruments, and crucially, develop the skills to analyze, interpret, and then effectively communicate their findings. This is where theory basically meets the practice. Beyond lectures and labs, we have tutorials, which provides a smaller group settings for problem solving and deepening understanding of the complex topics which is covered in their classroom. The curriculum is rounded out with design exercise and project work. These elements are critical for developing a design mindset, fostering creativity, and honing vital professional skills like project management, teamwork, and communication, often in a stimulated real-world environment. This is the breakdown of the last year stage one engineering students who joined our different major engineering degree program on full-time basis. Now, let me talk about how we measure our students' academic workload here using the European Credit Transfer System, which is also called ECTS. The key thing to remember is that one credit is not just about time in the classroom. It's a measure of total students' effort. As you can see, each 5-credit module student take represents approximately 100 to 125 hours of work. Now, this includes everything: attending lectures and labs, doing tutorials, working on assignments, private study, and finally preparing for and taking the exam. Now, let's put it in the context of a typical trimester. So in a typical trimester, we have 5 modules. If a student takes 6 modules, if a student take 6 of these 5-credit modules, that's a total of 30 ECTs, 30 credits. Based on our scale, that translates to between 600 and 750 hours of total efforts for the trimester. Since this is packed into a 15-week period, which include 12 weeks of teaching, 1 week for the revision, and 2 weeks for exam, and the weekly commitment become clear. Dividing that total efforts by 15 weeks give us an average of 40 to 50 hours per week workload for the students. Now, let me take you through how we assess our students throughout the year. We use a balanced approach designed to evaluate our students' understanding continuously and fairly. First, we have continuous assessment. Now, this is not just one big exam at the end. It's happening all trimester long in all of our modules. This can take many forms like MCQs, in-class quizzes, lab practices, or open book assignments. The goal here is to keep the students engaged, give them regular feedback, and reduce the pressure that comes from having their final grade rest on a single final exam. Now, let's look at the formal exam period. For autumn semester, the end of trimester exam run from December 6th to the 20th of December, just before the Christmas. Now, most modules will use a 2-hour written exam format during this window. For the spring trimester, the schedule is a bit more detailed and gives the students structured time to prepare. The students will have a field work or study period from March 9 to 22nd. During this period, they have no lectures. This is the key time for focused work on projects or for starting their revision. This is followed by a dedicated revision week from April 25 to May 1st. No new materials will be taught. This week is entirely for students to consolidate their knowledge and prepare. The formal exam then runs from May 2nd to May 16th. Now, let's talk about the process if a student does not pass a module. It's important to note that the university has a clear and structured system to help students get back on track. The first and most important step is to check the what happens if I fail section in the official module description on the course search. This is the definitive source of the truth, as the specific remediation path is set by the module coordinator and can vary from module to module. Generally, the university offers two primary remediation options. Number one is receipt assessment. Now, what is this? This is typically a second attempt at the exam or a key piece of assignment. It happens during or at the end of the trimester, but crucially, it does not involve re-attending the lecture. This option is for students who were engaged but just fell short on the final assessment. Now, the second option is repeat the module. This means that formally re-enrolling in the module, attending all the lectures and tutorials again, and completing all assessment anew. There is a fees of €230 currently. This is the best path if a student has struggled with the core concepts from the beginning and needs a full start again. These reassessments are scheduled within our standard exam session. Now, the autumn one is in December, the spring one is in May, and the summer one is in August. Now, please note that the August session is not available for every module. Now, students must confirm its availability in that module description. Now, let's talk about one of the most exciting part of our engineering program, the chance to study abroad. This is a transformative experience that we highly encourage. We strongly encourage study abroad experience in year 3. The majority of our students avail of this fantastic opportunity to study at one of our many partner universities worldwide. Now, to be eligible for engineering study abroad, students must typically achieve a stage 2 GPA of at least 3.0. The student must earn 30 ECTs in autumn semester of stage 2 with a minimum GPA of 3.0. Also, the student should have no grade less than C- in any of the core modules. In short, this is a competitive process. Now, UCD Global, which is another working body within the UCD, arrange talks and have a drop-in sessions for our students to help them avail these study abroad opportunities. All of these opportunities are coordinated by our UCD Global. I put the key website link on the screen, which is student one-stop shop for all the information they will need. The UCD Global run dedicated information session in the autumn. We offer two main types of exchange. Number one is the Erasmus Plus program. This is an exchange to a partner university in another European country. A key point to remember is that in many of these programs, most of the lectures will be in the local language, such as French, German, Italian, and so on. This is a fantastic opportunity for language immersion. Recent popular exchange for our engineering students have been to cities like Paris, Lyon, Stuttgart, and many others. Now, the second option is a non-EU exchange. This is for students who want to go further afield. This includes a wide range of partner universities in places like the USA, Canada, Australia, Singapore, New Zealand, to name a few. Now, the teaching language at this destination is typically English. More details about exchange rules can be found in the link given on the screen. Now, I want to directly address any students who is feeling a bit concerned because they did not like physics, maths, chemistry for the Living Cert. Now, for them, generally, our advice is please don't worry because such students are not behind and we have a dedicated support system in place to ensure their success. We run a weekly supportive supplementary tutorial session specifically for such type of students in case of the physics. It's important to understand that this session is and what is not. This is not a lecture where new content is presented. Students will get all the core content in their regular classes. Instead, think of this as their dedicated physics, chemistry, or maths help desk. These sessions are designed to be supportive and informal spaces. Students are invited to attend and simply ask questions. Struggling with a problem, bring it. There is someone sitting there to help you with those problems. Now, in UCD, we have a Center for Maths at the James Joyce Library, where dedicated maths tutors are available from Monday to Friday, 9 in the morning until 5 in the evening for students to help them with the maths questions. Now, this is basically an extra support for students who has no Living Cert in maths. This is the point for them to go and seek help. We are also working on establishing UCD STEM Support Center, where students without Living Cert in certain subjects, such as physics, chemistry, maths, and other science subjects will be provided extra support. Now, I will talk about engineering career. So let's talk about one of the most important aspects of the university experience, how we prepare our students for a successful career. Now, at UCD, career development is not an afterthought. It's fully integrated in our degree program and supported by a dedicated team. First, for those students pursuing the ME degree, the academic internship is a core component. This is not just a summer job, it's a accredited, monitored professional placement that gives students significant real-world experience before they graduate. So we actively connect with our students with industry. We host 4 major recruitment fairs each year with over 160 employers attending. This is our students' direct line to top companies. Throughout the year, we also have numerous employers presentation on campus, giving our students a chance to network and learn about specific organization. Our students' one-stop shop for opportunities is our online jobs portal, which lists everything from part-time work and internship to graduate roles. Now, but our support grades goes much beyond this, connecting students with the employers. We help them build a competitive profile. We run career workshops on everything from writing a winning CV to mastering interview techniques. Perhaps most important valuable of all this is students can book individual meetings with a career consultant for personalized advice to tailor their roles. UCD offer an extensive range of clubs, societies, and volunteering opportunities. Now, getting involved with these societies help develop teamwork, leadership, communication skills, exactly what basically employers look for. In short, from the first day at UCD to their graduation and beyond, UCD provides a comprehensive toolkit to ensure our students are career ready. Now, let's dive deep into one of the most valuable component of the ME program, the professional work experience, or the short form is PWE internship. Now, this is for the students who basically opt for the 5-year degree program with UCD. The core objective of this program is to integrate our students' academic knowledge with full-time practical work experience. They will be placed either within a leading industry company or in a research setting, applying the theory they have learned into the classroom to apply it to solve the real-world challenges. This is an assessed module, meaning the student's performance is evaluated and contributed to their degree. The assessment is multifaceted, combining writing assignments from their perspective, like a reflective diary and a final report, alongside a formal evaluation from the student's employer, ensuring they are meeting the professional standards. Now, these slides outline the excellent and diverse career path that opens up with engineering degree. Our graduates are in high demand and their prospects are truly outstanding. The vast majority of our graduates go directly into employment, and we have almost 100% success rate, and they even there are more opportunities, in fact, more than the demand. They are predominantly hired by leading companies both here in Ireland and overseas. It's important to note that many of the world leading companies in tech, medtech, and pharma have their European headquarters or significant operations right here in Ireland. This means our students have access to global career without necessarily having to leave the country. As a result of this high demand, the starting salary for our engineering graduates are consistently among the highest and are very competitive compared to other professions. This degree is a valuable investment in their future. Finally, for those who, with a passion for research and innovation, a significant number of our top graduates choose to pursue further studies. This path often leads to higher degrees, such as embarking on a doctoral or PhD research, where they become the pioneer creating the next generation of technology. Globally and here in Ireland, energy, healthcare, and the environment are not just important topics, they are the key national priorities. This means that as an engineer, our students will be working on the front line to solve the most critical problems we face, from developing sustainable energy solutions to advancing medical technologies and protecting our environment. Fortunately, your children are studying in a country with a fantastic industrial landscape. Ireland has a world-renowned and strong industrial base in sectors that rely on engineering innovation. This includes bioengineering, biochemicals, and pharmaceuticals. We are global leaders. Food and drink, a traditional strength that continues to innovate. Electronics, software, and communication, the bedrock of the modern digital economy, and the opportunities are only growing. We are seeing significant expansion in agriculture, food, and civil engineering sectors, particularly in areas like sustainable infrastructure and food production. Finally, it's important to understand that many of these sectors, especially our world-class healthcare and technologies industries, are export-led. That means they compete and win on the global stage. which means that the skills our students learn here are not just for the Irish market, but are truly portable and valued across the world. Now, these are some of the few companies that I put on the slides where our graduates are currently working and are actively hired by these companies, which is the spectrum is quite wide, from medtech to high tech to the leading firms globally, and most of these companies have branches in Ireland. Thank you. I will pass to Julia now.
Great, thank you, Mohammed. Just bear with me for one moment. I'm going to share screen as well. Hang on. Okay. Bear with me. Just one more moment. Bear with me. There we go. Okay. Thank you. Lovely to meet you all virtually. My name is Julia Marr. I'm the student advisor for engineering students in the College of Engineering and Architecture. And I'm going to talk to you this evening a little bit about the supports that are available for your student within the college and also the wider university. So just to explain a little bit about who I am and what my role is within the college, I'm a student advisor and I work within a team of, I think there's either 16 or 17 of us now, and there are student advisors attached to every single program at UCD. And our role is really to support students with everything and anything that gets in the way of them making the most of their university experience. And our mission statement is that we support students in identifying and achieving their academic goals by empowering them to manage the various life challenges that they will encounter. So on a practical level, what does that mean? And why might your student want to contact me or need to contact me while they're at UCD? They might want to come in and have a chat about coping with university life. It might be that something has come up and they're dealing with stress and anxiety. It could be because they've had a bereavement or they have very practical concerns around university life, how to organize themselves, how to manage time, how to manage kind of the day-to-day of being a student. There may be a family issue that they want to talk about. It could be around financial concerns. They might need some support with understanding UCD policies and procedures. They might need a referral to some of the other services on campus, including counselling or health or disability support. So there could be a number of reasons that they might want to access another support on campus, but they're just not sure where to start. And a student advisor is always a good place to start if they know they need support, but they're not really sure where to go next. And they might be looking for confidential support. So the conversations that I have with students are confidential. They stay between myself and the student unless I have permission from a student to say refer them on to someone else in the university or to share that information. Otherwise, what I talk to the students about is between me and them. But of course, like any confidential service, we do have parameters around that. So if it was ever a case of emergency, I do have to break confidentiality for safety reasons, but otherwise the chat is between me and them. So common transition issues in stage 1 that students might come to be about. Where do I belong and making new friends? It is a big transition for an awful lot of students. And it may be at the beginning that they're not really sure where to start or how to really start to make roots within university, and they might want to have a chat about that. They might have difficulty developing new learning techniques or habits, getting used to organizing their own time, managing their kind of timetable and the workload. So it's a big step up for a lot of students from secondary schools. So they might come in and have a chat and we might work through how they manage that. Some students come in because they find it difficult to leave home for the first time, or they're commuting and they're trying to figure out how to manage that, balancing their time between commuting and working. They might encounter personal issues, so living with roommates for the first time, living outside away from home for the first time, again, making friends, coping with new challenges, and that could include things like the accommodation issues that are happening across Ireland, or financial issues. So someone comes in and they've had a financial emergency, or they're having difficulty with budgeting. Okay. So just to let you know, these are some of the campus supports that are available, including myself, within UCD. During orientation, I talk to all of our Stage 1 students about the supports that are available on campus, but I'm well aware they get a huge amount of information in the first few weeks. It can be a little bit overwhelming, so it's good for you to know about these supports too, in case they mention that they're looking for something in particular. So some of the supports include access and lifelong learning, which is disability support and academic skills workshops. I highly encourage any Stage 1 students to take a look at the academic skills workshops. They're available online, and they talk to students about some of the really fundamental skills, that they need as a student, including taking notes effectively, and getting ready for exam season for the first time. And the Disability Support Service is there to help students who may need to register, and have a conversation with Access and Lifelong Learning about reasonable accommodations, and that could include classroom supports or exam supports for students. And again, if your student does need reasonable accommodation or exam supports, please encourage them, and they haven't registered with Access and Lifelong Learning yet, please encourage them to go ahead and either come and have a chat with me or to look at the Access and Lifelong Learning website, to make sure that they have their needs assessment meeting as soon as possible, or book it in as soon as possible, so they have their supports in place for the winter exams. I know Mohammed mentioned these supports as well, but just again, the Maths Support Centre is a great resource for our Stage 1 students, and they can help with maths modules at levels 0, 1 and 2. And again, it's free one-to-one support. We also have a writing centre, which is fabulous. I think some engineering students don't realise that there's quite a bit of writing actually within the engineering degree, and the writing centre is there to support all of our students at all levels from Stage 1 through PhD. So if any student has concerns about writing reports or their writing skills, I would certainly encourage them to take up that support. Again, it's free and it's available to all of our students. If students have questions about financial support, I would encourage them to take a look at the Student Advisor website, or again, have a chat with me. There are 2 funds that are available through student advisors. And there is the Student Support Fund, which is a means tested fund. Often students who are SUSI eligible are also eligible for the Student Support Fund, and I would encourage any student who is eligible for the Student Support Fund to make the most of it. That's what it's there to support their education. And there's also the Student Emergency Fund. So if a student faces unexpected financial difficulty, they can sometimes apply to the emergency fund through their student advisor or a UCD chaplain for some support to help them over that financial emergency. We also have a health centre on campus. It is a slightly lower cost than going privately to see a GP, although they don't accept the medical card. So if a student is a medical card student, just for them to be a medical card holder, it might be something for them to be aware of. But the health centre on campus is there and available to all of our students. There are GPs on campus, and again, if a student needs to see a GP and they're away from home, it is a great resource. The GPs on campus are very familiar with the kind of things that students might come to them with questions about, and would be aware of student lives. We also have a student counselling centre on campus, which is free for students to avail of. And certainly, if a student is interested in availing of counselling, they can register online for that support, or again, have a chat with me about it if they're interested in more information. And there's also the UCD Students' Union, which represents the student voice on campus. They are involved in student advocacy, and just something to be aware of. And if students are interested in getting involved in student life, to consider maybe getting involved with the Students' Union. Okay, so one of the things that students sometimes come to chat to me about is what happens if they've had what's called extenuating circumstances. So if they're sick or they have missed college for personal reasons. And the extenuating circumstances policy in UCD would cover that. So if it's something unexpected, and it's something serious, and it's affected a student being able to sit an exam or turn in a piece of work on time, and they need an extension or some understanding from the college because of their personal circumstances, they can apply for extenuating circumstances. So it's an online application form on SysWeb. Students do need supporting documentation. So if they've been to see a doctor or they have a letter for a counsellor, or they have a notice like an RIP notice for a bereavement, they'll need to provide that with their application. Students are encouraged to apply for extenuating circumstances within 10 working days of an in-semester deadline or missed test, and 5 days after an end of trimester assessment. If they have any questions, they can certainly come and talk to me or the college office, either one, and that's what we're here for, is to answer questions if they have any. Things that are not included in extenuating circumstances would be things like, a part-time job or a job outside of class, not planning a study schedule, or a planned family holiday. Things like that wouldn't normally fall under extenuating circumstances. Okay. So what can you do? I suppose stage 1 again is a year that's full of change. And some of the most important things that you can do as a parent or guardian is to listen to your student, and really to encourage them. If they are facing any difficulties in college in the first year, please do encourage them to come and talk to us in the university. We're here to support them. No question is too small. I'm happy to answer anything that might come up that someone isn't clear about. I often talk to students and let them know that the first year is just as much about learning to understand university life as it is, learning about engineering. There's a lot to take in. So please let them know that that's what we're here for, whether it's myself or the college office or their stage 1 program director. We're happy to answer questions. And they're always welcome to stop by. I take meetings by appointment or drop in. My rule of thumb is if my door is open, I'm free to meet, and I'm happy to meet students on a drop-in basis if they need to come in for a chat. And I'm happy to meet students in person, on Zoom, or by phone. Okay. So where can students find me? My office is 130A in the Engineering and Materials Science Centre, or on Zoom. They can send me an email, or they're welcome to book an appointment through my online calendar. And again, if my door is open, students are welcome to stop by. And I'm here to offer support. So if nothing else, just please remember that I am around to support students through their journey at UCD. And feel free to send them my contact information if they have a question that you think might benefit from a little bit of additional support. And just before I finish up, to let you know, there are 2 mindfulness programs running in the month of November for engineering students specifically. My colleague Dave Delaney met the stage 1 students during orientation, and he's offering his reset program for stage 1 engineers on Mondays during the month of November. And myself and my colleague Emmett Jordan Kelly, who is the student advisor in Ag Science, are running a mindfulness program for students at all levels of engineering and Ag Science on Tuesdays. So if you think your student might be interested in a bit of mindfulness support or mindfulness practice, they have received emails about both of these programs. Please do remind them that they're there, and we look forward to seeing them hopefully in November. So thank you.
Thank you. Deborah and Catherine, are there any particular questions that you think would be worthwhile calling out that came up a few times?
Thanks, Aoife. Yeah, there were a few questions in relation to the chemistry for engineers module. Parents concerned in relation to students, particularly students who haven't taken chemistry, and students feeling that the tutorials are too large, and it can be a struggle to get help. So that is coming out.
Okay, I'll try to answer it. So there are weekly. So I met with Professor Lee last year. Professor Lee is very, very experienced professor. He's been in the university a long time, and he is a chemical engineer. He's from chemistry in UCD, but a chemical engineer. And he puts on weekly tutorials for the whole class, which are quite large. But in addition, he does actually put on smaller tutorials for the class. And the thing I would urge any student who is struggling is to talk to Professor Lee, who's the module coordinator. He is always willing to put on additional, and has done so in the past, put on additional tutorials for students when required. And I would also like to reassure people that even though the students say that chemistry is difficult, and it is difficult if you haven't done it before in the Leaving Cert, and the same with physics, We had the same situation last year with chemistry, which was the first time we had it. We'd always had it with physics before, but the first time with chemistry. But when it came to the actual exam results at the end of the year, and I checked back on this just now to make sure that I had the right grades, 30% of the class got an A, 30% of the class got a B, and only 2.5% of the class failed. So sometimes they're coming in with expectations of their own ability in the chemistry, or expectations to do extremely well in every single module. And when they don't get an A in everything, and we see this quite a lot with engineering students nowadays, they feel disappointed. They're coming in with extremely high points and they're exceptional students. And sometimes they find that difficult to struggle with a subject that they're not always getting A's in. But the number of failures in chemistry is very, very small every year. And there is a lot of support there if they know to ask for it. In addition to talking to the module coordinator, we have a staff student committee, which I chair, and they can bring concerns like that to that staff student committee as well. So it's better for them to come with specific concerns and specific requests, and we will deal with them.
That's great, thank you. We answered a lot of the questions online, but there was another question in relation to, you know, concerns around students not having a balance, you know, studying late into the evening and, you know, having so many, obviously, lecture hours, and how to balance that.
Okay, so engineering is a high content course, and that means that there are a large number of lectures, and students will sometimes look at friends of theirs who are doing other programs in BCom or arts or something, who don't have the same amount of contact hours. They shouldn't be studying all night. You know, that is like, it is possible to get through engineering without studying all night. So, you know, maybe they need to have a sit down and think about how they're studying. And if they are struggling with that, again, I'll say come to one of us to talk about that, because it might be that they're not managing their time properly, or that they might need a little bit of support around how to manage their time or how to manage their studies there. While it is a high intensity course with a lot of content, on the positive side of that, I would say that because they have a lot of contact with us all the time, and because they're coming in and out and doing assessments throughout the year, actually we find problems much quicker than you do in programs where students have limited content and limited access to their lectures. So we generally find that we find the students who are struggling much more quickly than in other programs. And I will just say again, most of our students do get by. You know, we'll have students who are exceptional, we'll have students who struggle, but most of our students do actually get through. The vast majority get through and get into that ME and come out the other end of it as well. So I don't want them to get overly stressed about, they think that it's all going wrong. Genuinely, it is not for most of them, and if it is, we are here to help them.
That's great. There was only one at the end that we didn't get to, just a comment in relation to the quality of lecturing in a number of subjects. I suppose
Okay.
the
Staff student committee, I think that's the same. Yeah.
It's a quality of lecturing in a number of subjects. I suppose maybe to explain the services, you know, the students have access to specific access to so much material outside the lecture piece.
Yes, they do. And in addition, if they have concerns about quality, they should bring that to our attention, because we can't do anything about it if it isn't brought to our attention in the first place. But I would just want to say to parents that our academic staff in UCD are at the highest caliber and will have had training and teaching and lecturing. Students are coming into a different kind of teaching. They're coming from schools where they will have been throughout a Leaving Cert system, very much spoon-fed and very much, you know, geared towards a particular set of exams, where now there is a greater pressure on them to learn for themselves. And that can be a struggle for students to get used to it. As Julia said, there's a huge amount of adjustment to make in first year, and part of it is getting used to a very, very different system of education to what you would have experienced in the Leaving Cert.
Yeah, I think that's it. And I'm just checking again to see if there's anything else here that we haven't got to. I don't think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for everyone coming along today. The slides and the presentations will be made available. And the thing I just say is that if your sons, daughters, your wards or whatever have any issues over time, come to us. I say it every year, so Julia, Deborah are sick of me saying this. The sooner you come to us, the sooner you tell us that they come to us and tell us there's a problem, the sooner we can deal with it.
And just to remind everyone, you know, there is a walk-in service, the college office have staff on from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. every day. So, you know, the idea that students can't come in and talk to you know, we have kind of an open door policy. And if students need to sit down with us and talk about something in more detail, we can make an appointment with them. And we can book a room, or we can do it on Zoom, whatever is better for them. But by all means, they can come to the college office team as well, who are very experienced.
Okay.
Great. Thank you.
We can close out the session now and say thank you to everyone for taking the time to come along.